Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. On today's episode, we're going to look at how you can culture your own phytoplankton at home using the Aquaculture Kings Culturi-S. Alright, thank you for joining me on yet another episode of Parker's Reefs, and as touched on in the intro, today we're going to have a look at how we can make our very own phytoplankton using this kit here from a new Australian startup called Aquaculture Kings, and they've sent me this product here, the Culturi-S, which is designed to produce exactly what I have in my hand here, your very own supply of phytoplankton. Now, if you don't know much about phytoplankton yet, I'm not going to go into all of the details, but essentially it is the bottom of the food chain. It is a single cell algae that feeds many things in our aquarium, that then sometimes the things that feed on it feed other items, and the food chain goes on and on. And to be fair, there are a whole heap of benefits to adding phytoplankton regularly to our reef tanks. The problem being, particularly when you've got one about the size that I do here, that these bottles do come at a cost, and well, they're not massive. The recommended dosage on this one here is 5 to 10 mil per 100 litres per day. Now that puts me at almost a bottle a day, a bit under a bottle a day, which I'm just not going to do unless I go to the lengths of getting my own kit so I can start producing my own phytoplankton at next to no cost. Then I can dose it all day, every day. So today we're going to take a look at this setup here, see what you get in the kit. We'll unbox it, we'll set it up. I'll go through all of the process there. We'll produce some phytoplankton with it, set it up on my tank, and see how we think about it overall. So without any further ado, maybe we'll bring the camera in, we'll open up this box, see what we get with it, then we'll jump into setting it up and getting our first culture started. All right, let's have a look at what we get in the kit here, pointing out that this is the Aqua Kings Culturi-S. Now that S does indicate that this is the small. There is also a medium and a large on the way, but for right now they have the S available, and it has a whole heap of features that we'll go into once we get this open. I should also point out that I have also ordered a starter culture here, which is just your regular bottle of phytoplankton that you could just dose straight into your aquarium, but we're going to use this to start making our own phytoplankton. And to make sure that that gets fed, I do have some fertilizer here too, so some Aquaculture Kings F2 fertilizer. But I'm really keen to open this box and see what it is exactly in the kit, because I've got to say it's a pretty small little package here, and should have everything we need to get going. I should point out that I have opted for the kit where I supply my own air pump. You do require an air pump. You can purchase them from the site, but I've got my own, so I'm going to use that. Now, firstly, I noticed some really cool customized packaging in here, which just holds everything in place. But first thing, I'm going to remove the actual cylinder itself, which has this very cool star sort of spangled lid here with a nice seal, very nice snug fit. We've got a little automatic pressure relief valve here. Hopefully I can show you that well enough on screen. We've got some tubing here for our air pump, I'd assume. We've got a nice little microfiber towel just to do some cleaning. We've got a nice, if I don't throw it away too much, a little pipette here just to, I assume, to dose things into there, whether it be our fertilizer or even if it's just to grab some out. And it looks like we've got some stickers if you want to really rep the brand, and some desiccant just so things don't get wet in the shipping. Popping that aside, I'll rip out this customized packaging, which is 3D printed to ensure everything remains in place, which is a really nice little touch. Now, pulling out this section here, it appears I've got a couple of things in here. I've got a little pipe cleaner, which I'm assuming is to keep this pipe here nice and clean, but also this is the pipe that's going to go through the lid and provide the air to the bottom of this and give a nice connection for our air pump. So I'm just going to sit that gently aside. This very nicely made lightweight 3D packaging keeps everything secure in the box, and there's plenty more to come. All right, opening up here, I do have more of that packaging in the bottom there to hold the base in place so it doesn't move in shipping. I get some nice detailed instructions with some QR codes to things about where to buy the fertilizer, which thankfully I already have, where you can get spare parts and accessories, how to culture different strains of phytoplankton. If this isn't the one you want to do, you can do different ones, how to connect your light and things like that, as well as troubleshooting. We're going to sit that aside right now and just have a look at this unit here. You can see it's got nice little rubber feet there so it doesn't vibrate away on your bench. You've got this really nice little seal built in here, which is where our top's going to sit on there, so the light shines up through it. Got some nice vents down here for that hot air from the light to escape. We've got our lid here, which does have the little automatic pressure relief there. And then we have our tube here, which will go down into the lid down here so that you can get the air to the bottom of your surface, and that'll bubble back up. And then the pressure relief here will let the air out, but not the water out. And that will just slide down in there nice and snugly. So I'm getting to the point where I think it's probably time I get this up on my bench and we have a look at the instructions so we can work out exactly what we need to do to get a culture in here, get this hooked up to the power for the light, get it hooked up to air for the flow, get our phyto in there, our starting water, of course a little bit of fertilizer, and get this unit running, because as cool as it looks sitting on the bench here, I really want to see it producing some phyto. Let's take it to the kitchen. All right, as you can see, I've got a fair swarm of items in here to get my first culture started. Now, not all of this is strictly necessary, and once you've done it once, you possibly don't need to do some of these steps again. However, I want to go through the full gamut of things. So I've got my pretty much completely assembled Aquaculture Kings Culturi-S here ready to go. I've got my starter culture there. I've got my fertilizer, even got my air pump over here ready to go. What I do also have over here is some artificial salt and some RO water to mix up some salt water to put in, which is basically what makes the basis of our new culture. However, there are a couple of options there. If you want to use natural salt water, you absolutely can. You just need to sterilize it by boiling it for a while and then letting it cool down before putting it anywhere near the glass, because, well, boiling salt water and glass tend not to work so well. So if you want to boil your salt water, you can. I'm going to mix up some artificial salt water here using some RO and some salt, so I don't have to worry about that there. In the middle here, I've got some things to measure out some salt and make sure my salinity is correct for the culture that I'm brewing. And I'm looking for a salinity about 1.023 specific gravity. That's because I'm doing a nanochloropsis, which I could be absolutely butchering the pronunciation of the name there. There are a whole heap of different phyto strains you can make, and the instructions do give you a little bit of a insight into some of the various conditions that are required, both around light as well as salinity for each different culture. But do your own research there and have a look at what you're going to go for. Because I'm starting with this pretty basic culture here, which is what I traditionally dose in my aquarium, I'm going to go for that 1.023, 1.024 sort of specific gravity, and about 18 hours of light a day, 6 hours of no light. So firstly, what I really need to do is to make sure that I've got this set up here sterile and ready to go. And to be fair, it has arrived perfectly clean, but just to make sure I do things correctly, I want to make sure it is as clean as it can be, just so I don't, start off on the wrong foot with my first culture. So to do that, all I'm going to do here is grab a little bit of white vinegar, and I've got the cloth that the guys provided in the kit. Just going to tip a bit of this white vinegar, and this nice fresh white vinegar, it's got a fair smell to it. Give it a bit of a wipe in here just to make sure there's nothing overly vicious hiding out in there. I don't think there is. Like I said, it arrived perfectly clean, but I want to make sure I'm doing everything as good as I can. And I've got a little bit of RO here just to give that a rinse once I'm done. I might also give the tube here, because that will sit in the water. Just a little bit of the water in the culture. A little bit of a wipe down. Set that back down. Now I should be right to put this vinegar away. I'm not going to need that again, so it can go over here, as can my cloth. And I'll just get my RO here and give this a little bit of a rinse, just to maybe get rid of a bit of that vinegar smell. All right, that looks pretty good. It's not going to matter if there's a bit of RO in there, because I'm about to put a whole heap of RO in there when I mix up some salt water, but I'm just going to give this a little rinse as well. And that's going to be slightly awkward because I need to take the whole thing over to the bench, but that's okay. Now again, you can consider that an optional step, particularly for this first time brewing, because things came pretty sterile anyway. But what I want to do now is mix up my water to give myself a nice sterile saltwater solution at about 1.023, 1.024 specific gravity to go in. So I've got some salt here. I'm just going to measure out some weight. For those of you who aren't aware, if you're mixing with a parts per thousand, gives you a really good rough idea. If you're looking for 35 parts per thousand, 35 grams of salt water to a litre is generally how it works. I'm looking for a little bit less than that, so I'm going to go for about 33, 32, something like that. Let's see, I'll get Let's start with 31 and see how close that gets us. Gonna add that in here. I've got a touch over a litre of water here anyway, so it might mix up right where I want it. And to be honest, with this phyto that I'm planning to culture, it's not too picky. So just gonna give that a nice little mix in here. Get my salinity checker here, get that ready, and just see where our salinity comes in at. I will need 800 milliliters of this solution once it's mixed up. It's looking pretty good. It's 1.022. Might give it just a touch more. That should get us pretty close now. And then that's all I'm going to need with the salt. All right, bang on 1.023 specific gravity, which is exactly what I'm chasing for this strain of phytoplankton. I'm ready to add 800 milliliters of this into my jar. All right, I've got 800 milliliters of freshly mixed artificial salt water at 1.023 specific gravity. Gonna put that into my sterilized vessel here. Hopefully this pours okay, it does. Thank goodness, nothing worse than a jar that pours all over the place. All right, that's good. All right, now I've got to add my fertilizer, and I did pick up the Aquaculture Kings F2 fertilizer. Now the instructions for this say to add 1 milliliter per liter. Now I'm going to assume that's per liter total, so I'm just going to crack this open. I'm not sure if the shake is absolutely necessary, but I'm going to do that anyway, and I'm going to grab my pipette here, which 1 milliliter is right down there, so it's not a lot. And bring that back down to the 1 milliliter mark. Perfect. Add that in there. All right. Consider fertilizer done. Now I need to get right down at eye level and add enough of my phytoplankton starter culture till I get to the max mark here, which should be about, well, 199 millimeters to be exact. Let's see how we go. We'll get this in there, and all of a sudden it starts to look like a weak phyto mix, and then I'm hoping over 5 to 7 days it looks more like the color of this one than it does the color of that one. But that's essentially my kit ready to go. I can now get the base. In fact, I might get some power over here so we can do this. Put that on there. It'll sit down in that ring nicely. And we get our lid here, which is connected obviously to our air line. When I push that on, the little pressure relief valve will pop up just like that, just so that it doesn't crack the lid. Now I can plug in the light and get this set up. In fact, I can take that off if I need to, so I can prepare this separately. This does have a Grid Connect smart home capable light in there, which allows you to set schedules if you want the light to run at various times, just like I do, where I want 18 hours of light and 6 hours of no light. So I'm gonna plug this in now, and I'll grab the phone and take you through the setup process on the Grid Connect app.
Alright, here we are opening up the Grid Connect app, which I already have installed for a number of different smart devices in my home. Just going to add a device. Now sometimes you can automatically scan for devices, but I'm just going to roll on down to lighting and manually get this one started up. So I'm just going to press on lighting there because it seems it's not going to automatically find it, which is fine. Now, one thing you do need to make sure here is that you are on the 2.4 gigahertz network, and mine did come up with that. Now, it does say to get this light into pairing mode, you need to switch it on and off 3 times. So I'm just going to go through the process of doing that now. Obviously, it looks a little bit different to the bulb on screen there, but it does the same thing. So just to show you how that looks on the light after that's done, I've got a nice little sort of pulsing going on here, which tells me it's in pairing mode and ready to go. So when I go back to the app, I can now click on next, and it will look for this light, and it's found it already, which is awesome. Now what it's doing is it's pairing that light up to my network. It's giving it the network details we entered before, and then going to connect it up to my app so that I can control this through the app and also through the cloud, which is what I want to do because I basically want to set a schedule. And there we have it. It has found the light. The Culturi-S from Aquaculture Kings is there, which is fantastic. I can click on done and have a look at the settings for this light. You can see there, jump into the light there, and I've got a dimmer availability. I've also got a different color, so I can go cool white, warm white. I can also jump across to the color spectrum and change some things there with some RGB colors if I wanted to do something like macro algae, but gonna leave it on white for now. Now what I want to do is set up a schedule for this because I actually want this light to run for 18 hours a day. So essentially I want this to turn on at 6 AM and turn off at midnight every single day. So it has 18 hours of light and 6 hours of no light. So scrolling through, I've got the schedule set to turn on Just going to set up 6 a.m. and set that to do it every single day. So we've got 6 hours, 0 minutes every single day. Save that as an on switch. Then I'll create another one as an off setting. Just set for midnight, well, close to midnight as I can get, which is 23:59. As I find my way through there, 23, yep. Get the minutes up to 59, happy days. That switch power is set to on, well, it's now set to on, but I'm going to flick that back to off. Go through and set every single day and hit save. My schedule is now set. Nothing left to do other than to go put this in the laundry and let this phytoplankton culture itself. And heading into that laundry now, you can see I've got the air pump running 24/7 with the tube in place. This is the fairly light color of the phytoplankton to begin with. We might check in with it every couple of days just to see how that color richens up, but effectively it is set and forget. We'll check it out over the next few days. Alright, heading into day 3 now. Whilst this may seem like watching paint dry, I assure you it's quite an exciting thing each day to see the colour richen up. And as we roll on to day 5 now, you can see we've got ourselves a nicely coloured culture here, pretty much ready for dosing into the aquarium. I might give it one more day to be sure.
All right, here we are at day number 6, and my culture has really richened up in color. And whilst it doesn't look quite as dark as the original culture here, that's because it's sitting on the light. When I take it off the light and I sit it down here in front of it and I put the original culture next to it, you can see we've got ourselves the same color. If anything, it could even be a fraction darker. So I think this solution here is ready to be added to either a dosing pump or put into a container to keep in the fridge and just dose them in manually each and every day. And of course, then I can clean out this vessel and start the whole process again. Probably time we head on into the tank and I'll wrap this product up and show you where you can get yours with a 10% discount. All right, guys, there you have it. That is the overview, unboxing, setup, and of course the results from the Aquaculture Kings, aka Culturi-S. Quite a mouthful, but I tell you what a fantastic Aussie-owned product that enables you to culture your own phytoplankton right at home. And I gotta say, when the team at Aquaculture Kings reached out to me and said, would I be interested in doing a review on their product, I did for a second think this could be a bit beyond me because I am no scientist. And I gotta tell you, I could not have been more wrong if I tried. This kit made it so easy, and I really look forward over the coming weeks or months to trying different strains of phytoplankton in this reactor, utilizing that full RGB light with the schedule built into it with the Grid Connect smart home capabilities. Allows me to have different colors for different amounts of hours and really narrow in on producing those different strains of phytoplankton, which will ultimately benefit this dream reef tank here, as we all know the benefits of phytoplankton and very frequent dosing of that into the tank, which is something I've always known, but just through to, well, I was gonna say financial, but realistically, it was more a laziness factor. I never did it as frequently or in the volume that I realistically should. Thanks to this kit, I'll now be able to dose frequent amounts of phytoplankton in my tank, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the results from that. Now, just to round out a couple of questions you may have about the product itself, it is Australian owned and made. It does come in under $150, and that's before we get to the Parker's Reef discount code, which will take even more off it. They do have a full range of spare parts, different components available, even some things that are a little pro tip. You can even buy a second vessel and lid if you want to use it as a bit of a swap and go setup. So once you've finished culturing one strain of phytoplankton, you can take the whole vessel off, put the next week's culture on there to start producing away, whilst you take that original vessel, put that into your tank or your cabinet as a dosing vessel. This makes it much more easy, so you don't have to sort of clean each time, get it out of one container, put it into another sterile container, anything like that. You've already got the container full of phytoplankton. Why not leave it in there? So they've done some really cool things there, and I do like that availability of all those spare parts. And that's before you get to the full range of other items the team have on their website. I'll put the link in the description down below. But the guys have hit the ground running at aquaculturekings.com.au. It's not just their cultureware, which enables you to produce all sorts of live foods. It's also their full range of dosing products, from trace elements obviously through to coral foods, all the way through to some bacteria and some cultures specifically designed to tackle things like dinoflagellates. This is the sort of stuff I'm very interested in. So a big round of applause to the team at Aquaculture Kings Firstly, I should also point out they did provide this kit to me free of charge to do this review, but you know me, I love producing reviews on brand new Aussie created products, and I've got to say, I never thought I'd be producing anything on creating my own phytoplankton culture, and here I am, which is a testament to just how good the product is and how well it's been road tested. If you want to do some phytoplankton culturing of your own, be sure to check it out. Now, I did also say that there is a 10% off discount code for all Parker's Reef viewers out there. The team have been very, very generous in giving us a discount code of Parker's Reef 10. If you put that on their website, you will get 10% off your order, which is a very, very generous offer to the guys who are just starting off this business. So get on there, support local, and check out their full range of products. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Now, just before I do wrap things up, I've got to give a massive round of applause to these names on screen here. These are my channel members who chip in a couple of dollars each and every month to make it possible for me to bring videos just like this one to you here on YouTube for absolutely no cost whatsoever. They chip in a couple of dollars so that you don't have to, and it goes very, very humbly appreciated, let me tell you. So thank you very much to each and every name on here that is helping out. I do also want to say, if you want to support the channel but you don't have a couple of dollars a month to spare, fear not, you can hit that subscribe button in the bottom corner down there. That takes 2 seconds of your time, does not cost a cent at all. It just tells the YouTube algorithm that you like this content, and it will help recommend it to more like-minded reefers out there. And we are edging up towards 35,000 subscribers, which is truly mind-blowing and incredibly humbling. Now, I do just want to say that if you have any questions, comments, feedback for myself or the team at Aquaculture Kings, feel free to pop it in the comment section down below. I do personally reply to each and every comment there, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions around the Culturi-S or any other products that the Aquaculture King guys have. If I don't know the answer myself because I haven't used the product yet, I will be sure to get them to respond for us so that all of us can find out the answers we're after, because ultimately that's the idea of this channel, is to share information. So please don't be shy in asking your questions down below. I do also just want to say that over the next coming weeks, I have some really cool videos to come, including some tank tours, a brand new product review on something that is completely left field from anything I've done before. If you thought phytoplankton culturing was different, wait till you see what we're going to do in the reef DNA space, which is crazy, crazy next level. Stay tuned for that one. And of course, some really exciting unboxing nights at my local fish shop, which is some of my favorite times in this hobby. There's something just really anxiety inducing and super good fun at pulling out bags at your local fish shop straight out of the box, straight from the collector, to see what fish or coral they've got. Just gets the, I don't know, the reef blood in me pumping, and I hope I can convey that excitement with you guys right here on YouTube. Now, I should wrap things up there. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, guys, stay safe, keep reefing. Cheers, bye.